Some WNBA players show up, perform their duties, and then leave. Sophie Cunningham is another female member of the most talked-about women's basketball squad. She started hurling people to the ground right away, went viral overnight, and then sat down to reveal all of her secrets and what it's truly like to play with the world's most contentious player. In addition to being unexpected, what she disclosed totally disproved the narrative that the majority of people had previously come to believe. You have to go back to January 31st, 2025, the day that changed in a way Sophie Cunningham most likely could not have imagined, in order to comprehend the significance of any of this. She had worked hard for the Phoenix Mercury for 6 seasons, earning a great reputation as a fearless guard who could shoot lights out. It was eventually discovered that she had been dealt to the Indiana Fever. More cameras, controversy, and national attention surround the Indiana Fever than any other WNBA team in history. The Indiana Fever are home to Caitlin Clark, the most scrutinized athlete in women's sports. It was a historic trade as well. The league was startled with a huge 10-team megadeal. Sophie Cunningham did not receive a warm welcome in her new surroundings. She was abandoned in the midst of a storm. And the subsequent events exposed every aspect of her true nature. Very few people discuss this. Sophie Cunningham had a difficult beginning in Indiana. Her preseason ankle ailment caused her debut to be postponed until May 22nd. A week later, she sustained another ankle injury that kept her out of action for an additional 2 weeks. She was fighting her body and trying to establish a rhythm while playing for a new city, a new coach, a new system, and new teammates. She had difficulties during those initial weeks. There wasn't enough chemistry. There was no momentum. It was quite unlikely that this trade would be profitable at all. However, something clicked right before the All-Star break. After being added to the starting lineup, Sophie Cunningham not only found her rhythm again but also excelled. She averaged 112 points and shot more than 51% from the field in 13 games as a starter. At the time, she was arguably the team's most productive player. The enforcer that the Indiana Fever had found was just getting started. What transpired on June 17th was the most direct response of the 2025 WNBA season. The entire game between the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever had been violent. In the third quarter, Sheldon stabbed Sunuard J.C. Caitlin Clark in the eye. It was the type of play that usually results in a free throw and a shrug. Sophie Cunningham, however, did not shrug. She seized Sheldon and dragged her to the ground in front of everyone a quarter later. As soon as they were expelled, the moment was gone. Overnight, social media collapsed. In a matter of hours, Sophie Cunningham amassed hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers. Her TikTok following increased from 300,000 to more than 2 million. Almost soon, she became well known outside of basketball. She was straightforward when she finally spoke about it in public. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content. It may surprise you to learn that almost 83% of viewers have not yet subscribed. Even though it only takes a second and is free, it means the world to us. Have you already subscribed? Fantastic! I sincerely appreciate your help. Let's return to the video now. She also acknowledged that the league had penalized her about $900. I'll stand up for my comrades. That is what I do. She went on to say she had no regrets at all. It was more than a video that went viral. Sophie Cunningham's entire public persona changed at the same moment. Soon after, Sophie Cunningham made a revelation on her recently launched podcast, Show Me Something, which she co-founded with West Wilson, a reality TV personality and childhood friend. The aftermath from that dispute became considerably more interesting after this discovery. She didn't hesitate. She acknowledged something that had been the subject of months' worth of rumors. The previous year, when Caitlin Clark was still with the Phoenix Mercury, there were actual discussions in a locker room on how to deal with her during her rookie season. Many people's fears were reinforced by her, but no one wanted to voice them. According to Sophie Cunningham, players in the league were targeting Caitlin Clark on purpose in order to make a point and demonstrate to her the true meaning of the W. She claimed to have some understanding of it. Rookies are handled that way. However, it had gone much too far in the particular instance of Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham, a teammate, remarked, "I'm like, what are they doing? It's just too much. I've moved on. If I feel that way, it's probably too much." Her statements had a clear resonance because she had been in those rooms herself. This was an admission that wasn't generally accepted. Fans were enthralled with Sophie Cunningham's regular confessions on the podcast, which turned into a platform for music. She confronted people who doubted Caitlin Clark's influence on the league in one episode. She spoke haphazardly. She didn't use hedging. If you think the WNBA wouldn't be where it is now without Caitlin Clark, you're just plain wrong, she added. She is the face of the league. And the closest thing to what she stated is this. She was very clear that she wasn't mocking other players in the league. Everyone was respected by her. She did, however, find it confusing that Caitlin Clark's contribution to the growth of women's basketball was being minimized, and it was difficult to ignore how bluntly she expressed this. Hearing that directly from a seasoned insider carries a lot of weight for a league that has been engaged in a continuous, complex internal debate on Caitlin Clark's status and reception. The response from the internet was precisely what you would anticipate. The video became viral once more. Then came the moment that drastically changed the story's tone. Sophie Cunningham revealed a completely other side of herself outside of the fights, podcasts, and viral incidents. When she offered to serve meals to locals at the annual Aaron Nesmith charity dinner in November, she was appropriately microphoned and her comments were captured on camera. "This is what we are here to do. We're here for you," she added, turning to face a packed room. At this point, the agreement was struck. With her, there was no agreement. Her one-year contract with the Indiana Fever was already over. She was not required to be present. She didn't get paid. She simply rolled up her sleeves, showed there, and began serving. Fans of the Indiana Fever went crazy. Just as quickly as the J.C. Sheldon fought, the incident's video went viral. Remark after comment pled with the team to sign her permanently. Even those who had never seen a WNBA game began to pay attention. This was the opposite side of Sophie Cunningham, a farm girl from Columbia, Missouri, who attributes her identity to her hard-working and devout upbringing. When she began discussing Caitlin Clark's off-court activities, almost everyone was taken aback by what she said. People had assumed that Caitlin Clark was virtually untouchable, a calm, well-groomed celebrity athlete who easily navigates life. Sophie Cunningham totally destroyed that impression. She was asked about her favorite Caitlin Clark anecdote during her appearance on the Like a Farmer podcast. It seemed as though she was sharing a secret because of how straightforward her response was. She claimed that Caitlin Clark is just a regular person who genuinely enjoys basketball. She then referred to her as a giant old dork. You don't know what to expect when you first meet someone who draws so much attention, she said. You get ready. Instead, she discovered someone who was genuine, modest, and utterly stupid. She claimed to be the biggest nerd you'll ever meet and to adore Caitlin Clark's entire vibe. That description seemed to be the most personal thing someone had ever said about Caitlin Clark to millions of people who only see her through press conferences, sponsorship deals, and highlights. Their connection off the court took on a life of its own. Sophie Cunningham had the ideal answer when asked which teammate she would least trust to manage her social media accounts. Because Sophie Cunningham referred to Caitlin Clark as a starter. This suggests that she would initiate the drama. While publishing anything, she would observe the mayhem. This was entirely in line with how these two communicate on social media. Their fan bases love their regular light-hearted jabs, inside jokes, and reciprocal trolling. On the way to a game, they joked that they were Indiana Fever mermaids. By posting a video of himself and colleague Lexie Hull in a swimsuit on Twitter in August, Sophie Cunningham attracted bikini sponsors. Eventually, Caitlin Clark also appeared on Sophie Cunningham's show. The standards of these two's public communication simply prompted the Show Me Something account to respond to a fan's inquiry about a Caitlin Clark appearance. Beneath all of this anticipation, however, was a season that went horribly wrong. By August, the Indiana Fever had turned into an almost unbelievable injury disaster. Due to a quad strain, bone bruise, and groin injury, Caitlin Clark only participated in 13 games this season. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark were two of the 5 players that were ultimately declared out for the season. The crew was so short-staffed at one time that they were eligible for an emergency hardship exception. Before Connecticut Sun guard Brianne January stumbled into Sophie Cunningham's leg on August 17th and tore her MCL, she was playing. After that, surgery was performed. The season is over. Before the playoffs even began, the woman who had battled her way into a starting position averaged over 11 points per game as a starter, and grown to be one of the team's most adored presences, was gone. She watched from the sidelines as the eventual winner Las Vegas Aces were forced to play 5 games in the quarterfinals against a severely defeated Indiana Fever squad. That crew's tenacity was amazing. However, Sophie Cunningham must have been saddened to watch everything happen without her. The postseason was nearly as thrilling as the season itself. Sophie Cunningham's one-year, $100,000 contract expired, making her an unrestricted free agent in a league where nothing was certain. The Players Association and the WNBA are at a deadlock in their CBA negotiations. In addition, neither the official start date of free agency nor the salary schedule for the next season were known. When she joined Project B, a brand new worldwide 5-on-5 touring league, she was paid over $2 million a year, which was about 8 times the biggest wage in the WNBA at the time. Additionally, she started to raise her profile in the media in a way that demonstrated her ability to think beyond basketball, the podcast, the social media brand, and the sponsorship deals. She was starting a full-fledged public career with the notoriety she had gained in just one Indiana season. She repeatedly expressed her desire to rejoin the Indiana Fever throughout it all. She desired to play with Caitlin Clark once more. In the end, the CBA was resolved in the middle of March 2026. Oh, and her future in Indianapolis was finally within grasp when free agency opened. The figures at the end of 2025 revealed a tale that no one could have predicted at the beginning of the year. Google's annual search rankings dropped when Sophie Cunningham was listed as the 7th most searched athlete in the United States. There was no mention of Caitlin Clark, who served in the same capacity in 2024. Sophie Cunningham had somewhat replaced her. When someone brought up this topic on her podcast, she responded in the same straightforward, non-performative manner that she handles nearly everything. She claimed to be unsure of how to interpret it. She immediately tried to use the fact that Caitlin Clark had only played in 13 games this season as an excuse for her absence. She also talked about how incredible it was to be the only female player in the top 10. She wasn't bragging. She wasn't considering herself. She thought about her teammate more than anything else during the year. That comment revealed Sophie Cunningham's true nature off camera. And this is the current state of affairs, providing the new CBA holds together. The 2026 WNBA season is scheduled to begin on May 8th. After leading Indiana Fever in every significant statistical category and winning MVP in the FIA Women's World Cup qualification event, Caitlin Clark is in great health. The Indiana Fever are getting ready for what ought to be their healthiest and best squad ever. And Sophie Cunningham, the woman who arrived in Indianapolis as a trade piece, turned into an enforcer, went viral, became a favorite among music fans, suffered an injury, created a media empire while recovering, and never stopped speaking her truth, is waiting to find out if she will be able to return to the team that changed her life. The company is under constant pressure from fans to bring her back. According to reports, Caitlin Clark told the front desk how she felt about the situation. 2 new teams, Toronto and Portland, will join the league as a result of the expansion draft. The Indiana Fever's roster choices for the upcoming season are one of the most eagerly awaited stories in all of women's basketball. One thing is certain, regardless of what comes next. Sophie Cunningham walked into a room